Let me talk about assignments this week. Yeah. This week, you will have 2 assignments. Yeah. The first one, I will give you on Wednesday, tomorrow morning. So you will see it. Quiz 1. Our quiz number 1. So you can see it in our Canvas page tomorrow morning. Okay? Yeah. The second assignment, the weekend of this weekend, I will give you our first programming project. Yeah. So after 2 classes this week, so today and Thursday, these 2 classes, I will finish explaining all the techniques needed in the first programming project. Yeah. So, go through the basic features. Yeah. So we get ready. So we complete the preparation in these 2 classes. So you can start working on first programming project this weekend. The second assignment. Okay? All right. For the first assignment, the quiz, last weekend I tried to do the quiz, but when I look at the materials we learned, I feel not enough for 1 quiz. So today, after we learn some more materials, then we have enough materials for our first quiz. Yeah. All right. Then there is a small feature. Yeah. So here I want to use jQuery to show you hide and show. Yeah. This feature, Linus, right? Linus. Yeah. The third one. Yeah. So we have all the students showed up in this class. All right. All right. Yeah. So here, use jQuery to do this feature. Yeah. So actually, we will use 2 ways. So the example, I will post hide and show example. Okay, hide and show example. Only one small feature. I use 2 ways. Yeah. In this example, I will use the JavaScript way and the jQuery way to show the same feature. Yeah. You click the hide button, so you hide the figure. I post the image. The figure is an image, tangram, the image of the tangram puzzle. Okay. Then show button, so you see it again. Very simple. Yeah. Here, first we use the regular JavaScript way to do this simple feature. Yeah. Image. Yeah. So we have 2 images side by side, left image, right image. All right. So this is the left image. Left image, we give it ID. Oh, I need to change the pen color. Yeah. All right. Left image, we use ID 10LF. Yeah. Left ID. Yeah. So we can control the left image. Yeah. Here I do not show you, but it's a simple example. So after I post that example, so you play around. Here I just describe. Okay. All right. Then I give the image file name. All right. Then I use this style attribute to provide a CSS property. So this is CSS property. Display property. Okay. One display property in CSS, there are several values. The block value, this block value, visible. Yeah. So this figure is visible. And it is the default value. This block value is default. Okay. Default value, you do not need to provide this value. Yeah. But here, although default, we still use it because we want to modify its value, right? So here it's a placeholder. So we need a placeholder because later we need to access this element and change the value. If you do not have placeholder, how do you change its value, right? So that's why it's redundant. It looks, at the beginning, it looks redundant, but we need it. We need to control, we need to change its value when we click the buttons. Yeah. All right, so that's the left figure, tangram figure. Yeah, so you know that tangram thing. Yeah. Then control how to make it, how to hide it. So next question. We want to hide it. How to hide it? We change the display value from block to none. If the display property value equals none, then this figure is invisible. Invisible. So on the page, it's gone. Disappears. After you click the hide button, then we change the value. So we call JavaScript function, one JavaScript function. This JavaScript function, we do the most important line is this line. This line, we change the value of the display property. Yeah. How do we do it? Yeah, let me explain. So here, I assume some of the students are beginner web programming students. Yeah, so I explain a little more. First, document. Remember, document is an object. The name, our JavaScript is object-oriented. So when we work on data, we use objects. But this document object, it is created by a web browser. Web browser created. So we do not need to create it by ourselves. We just use it directly. Because the web browser makes it ready for us. Anytime if we want to use this object, we just grab it and use it. Here, we grab this document object. It represents everything in our current web page, current document, HTML document. The whole thing, wrap it in this document object. All right. Then, dot get element by ID. We call this method. Then we pass the ID to this method, right? Yeah. Then this element. So this element is wrapped inside another object. Yeah. So element, we use another object to represent this element. Okay? All right. So here you can see this step. It returns the element object. This whole thing, the element object. All right. So another object, dot. Now we want to access the data inside this element object. Now, which part of the data we want to access? Style. Okay. Style attribute. Yeah, this part. So dot style will access this part of the data. Style, because this attribute may contain a list of properties, right? Multiple properties. Yeah. Yeah. Although here is one, but in general, multiple properties. So you need to tell, which property you want to access. Display property, dot display. Then you assign a new value, string value, double quotes, string value. So you change, this line will change the block value to non-value. After it changes to non-value, that element disappears. That's the logic. That's the regular Java way. Yeah. How to control. Visible, invisible. Okay? Visible, invisible. So simple. All right. Yeah. So then, because after we hide it, there is another show button. There is a show button. So then we want to click the show button to make it visible. Yeah, similar idea, but we just change this non-value back to block value, right? So another JavaScript function, but in our second JavaScript function, the main line is this one. Yeah. So we change the value back to block, so it is visible again. Yeah. That's the simple logic. Okay. So regular Java way. Then jQuery way. Yeah. So jQuery way. Yeah. Then so here I use this simple example. The idea of jQuery. write less code, do more. Yeah, that's the philosophy of jQuery. Yeah, yeah, because here you need to write a lot of code, right? Yeah, a lot of code. So jQuery make the coding very little. Yeah, but you do the same thing. Okay, that's the philosophy of jQuery. jQuery version do the same thing. Yeah, hide. You use this dollar, the syntax, dollar parenthesis inside selector, right? Yeah, selector, the sharp sign. Now you pass the ID to it, right? Yeah, ID. Okay. Oh, right. Yeah, this is right, left. It's just one. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Our jQuery version we control the right figure. Okay. Regular Java we control the left figure. That's why we use RT, right. 10 right. RT. Then you call hide function, hide. Yeah. So just a simplification. You can treat it as a simplification. Yeah. All right. Then if you want to show it, you get the ID control on that element. Yeah. Selector we get a control on that element. Then you call show function, make it visible. Yeah. That's simple. Yeah. All right. So that's that hide and the show. Yeah. So hope using these two simple examples, yeah, so you can get get a little more understanding on that jQuery. Oh, just a minute. I need to set a timer to control the time. Yeah. All right. So the timer, let's see, 56 minutes. 56 minutes. Yeah. Just approximately 2 minutes before the end of the class. All right. All right, yeah. Then, yeah, still jQuery, yeah, regarding our programming project. Remember, we need to do drag and drop, right? Yeah. So here I want to talk about the jQuery version of drag and drop. Yeah. Yeah. Last time I mentioned this a little bit. Remember the JQ version, right? Yeah, last time I talked about that. Yeah, I haven't posted. Yeah, tonight I will post two examples. The jQuery version, drag and drop, and this hide and show, two examples. Yeah. All right. But the idea of the jQuery drag and drop, yeah, we do not need to write the code. We do not need to write drag and drop supporting code explicitly. Yeah. We use jQuery internal support. jQuery has some internal support on drag and drop feature. Yeah. The jQuery idea, but you need to include a special library, jQuery library. Okay, the jQuery UI library. jQuery has a UI, yeah, user interface, UI library. Yeah, so we need to add a line in our HTML file. So UI library, so we can use. So we include the UI library. Then we need to register so those elements we want to apply drag and drop features on. Okay, you need to explicitly register those elements. So make those elements draggable. By default, all those elements are not draggable. Okay? By default, no element is draggable in HTML document. But now we want to do drag and drop on certain elements, so we need to register those elements to be draggable using the jQuery one line. Okay? You select those elements, dot draggable. You call it a draggable function. Okay? Make them draggable. Yeah. There, that's it. That's all you need to do. Yeah. After that, you can do draggable. Okay. Yeah. That's the jQuery way. Yeah. So after I post that example, yeah. So when you study the code, yeah, you can understand that idea. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we finish this part. Next, I want to talk about, last time there is one slide, one topic I want to explain a little more regarding the property. Database, let me move to the place. I want to say something, say a little more. Right. What's that? Oh, yeah. So another slide. Yeah. So this part. Yeah, because last time at that time we did not have much time, so I couldn't explain enough. Look at this bullet point. This one. General purpose software application. Yeah. Last time Reshmik asked me Power BI, right? Yeah. So I look at that. Power BI, it's not a DBMS. Yeah. It's a data visualization tool. Yeah. So because when we talk about this here we talk about DBMS. Yeah. General purpose software. Yeah. So then the Power BI, so we use it to visualize the data. Yeah, because the data presentation we want to understand visually, right? So a lot of different ways we want to view our data. Yeah. Sometimes the data very complicated. So if you want to have good understanding of the data, then you need a special software tool to visualize it. Yeah. So that one is not DBMS. Yeah. So we different category. Yeah. Different category. So that is one. But another one, last time I also mentioned that NoSQL, right? Remember? Yeah. Actually, NoSQL, regarding to this point, it is also the general purpose software. Yeah. Because NoSQL still there is satisfy this property. It does not rely on any business specifics and support all business. Yeah. Although we use the NoSQL, this kind of DBMS, in some very restricted situation. Yeah. Restricted. Yeah. So here, so here I can give you roughly. Yeah. So relational. Yeah. So we have two types of DBMS. Yeah. DBMS, two types. First type we call it traditional. Yeah. Traditional, that's the relational DBMS. We call it RDBMS, relational DBMS. Yeah. The second type, non-traditional. Okay, non-traditional. So this. Sorry, yeah, not a Q. Oh, yeah. No SQL. Oh, yeah. Something is wrong. Non-traditional. Okay, all right. So these two types. In real world, the business world, yeah, approximately 90% of the business we use the traditional. Okay, yeah. Approximately 10% of the application, okay, we use the non-traditional. Yeah. Here, but both general purpose. Yeah. No business specifics. Yeah, very general. Okay. Then when you do a business, then you need to use the the generic way, but you can represent your business specific data, right? So the business specific information is encoded in your business data. Business data take care of the business specifics, okay? Not the software level. Software, generic. Yeah. But the data level, business specifics built inside. That kind of understanding. Okay? All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But when you use the traditional DBMS, you can explore the relationship among the data. Yeah. The relationship part, the structure could be very complicated. So then when we do queries, the queries could be very complicated. Okay? But for the non-traditional case, we do not explore the relationship among the data. Okay? Yeah. So we just do simple operations. We want to search data very fast. Search data without worrying about relationship among data. No. If you want to work on the relationship part, you should use the traditional DBMS. Then you do not need to work on the relationships inside the data, but you need a fast search, extremely fast search. You use non-traditional. Okay? In large amount of data, but you need a very fast search. That's the situation you need to use the non-traditional. The query very simple. Yeah. Because we do not need to worry about we skip that complex data relationship part. So then we can work on the data in a simple way. Yeah. So they call that kind of data, they call the non-structured data. The traditional data with relationships built in, yeah, people call it structured data. Yeah. Because the structure could be very complex. Yeah. Non-traditional, the structure is so simple, straightforward. Okay? Yeah. Very simple. So people call non-structured data. Yeah. That's the main difference. Yeah. All right. Later we will talk a little more, compare these two types of DBMS. Yeah. All right. So let's try to, give more explanation. Yeah, because last time we couldn't talk this much. All right. So we finished part C. This is part C. Yeah. Then we have another topic left in part B. So I want to get back to part B, the last topic. Yeah. After we finish that, we can start part D, our last part of this module. So first I get out part C. Yeah. Then yeah. Oh. Yeah. So it's hidden. Yeah. I couldn't see the tool, Yeah. Oh, yeah, now I can see. All right, again, yeah. Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, part B, yeah, this one. This one, the last topic, yeah. B.4, PHP and Apache server, yeah. I need to explain this topic a little more. This is about server-side programming. Okay? Yeah. Server-side programming. Yeah. In our first project, we do not need to do this. Yeah. So I, tried to delay. Yeah. First project. Our second project, then we need to use this PHP and Apache server. Yeah. Here, let me explain PHP and Apache server. Yeah. All right. How PHP works. Yeah. Yeah. So first, why PHP? Yeah. We need to add dynamic features into HTML from the server side. Yeah. Both sides. Client side, we use JavaScript. Server side, we need a server-side programming language. Yeah. So for this class, because PHP is much easier to use than other programming language. Okay? Easier than Java, easier than Python, Microsoft.NET, easier than all other programming language. Yeah, easy and powerful. Yeah. You can, because there are a large number of functions inside PHP, so very powerful. You can almost do everything. Yeah. All right. Then how to use PHP? Yeah. Remember, in the software installation part, I talk about XAMPP, right? XAMPP. It contains PHP. Yeah. After you install that software bundle, XAMPP, just one software bundle, so everything we need, other than IDE. Yeah. That bundle does not include IDE. Yeah. Other than the IDE, so everything we need for this class inside it. Yeah. So ready to go. Yeah. Then the PHP way, it uses a simple way to embed PHP code in HTML content. Yeah. So you start with a HTML document. Yeah. That HTML document does not contain any dynamic features. So when you probably some JavaScript code. If you have JavaScript code, you have the dynamic feature, but from the client side. Now, sometimes we want to do some dynamic feature from the server side. There are some good reason. Client side, server side, you need to do dynamic features both sides. Yeah. So let me explain why. So dynamic features both sides. Because you may ask me, we can. So both sides here, I mean client side and server side. Yeah, because some students may ask me, we can use JavaScript to do dynamic features. Why we need PHP to do dynamic features? Many reasons, right? Something not very good to do at the client side. A lot of things we need to do at the server side. Yeah. One big part, data. You need to do data-related features, right? Yeah. You need to do database queries, right? Yeah. Database queries. You need to access databases. So here I talk about database accesses. Okay, all right. All the queries, accesses. All right. Database accesses, when you do that, you should do it. You should do at the server side, not client side, okay? At the server side. Server side, yeah. Not client side. Yeah, so here I emphasize, don't do database access, not client side. Let me explain this point. It's important for security consideration. Client side, not as secure as the server side. Yeah. Because client side we call the front end, right? HTML page, front end. Yeah. Server side we call the back end. Back end on server machine, the front end. Front end, inside web browser, you can see the code, right? Your browser, you can view the source code. You can view the code of the page. Okay? The code including JavaScript code. So client side code is visible. Okay? Yeah. You don't want to expose your database credential to other people, right? Yeah. Client side, so not secure. But server side, the code, nobody can see it. Right? Yeah. Server side code hidden. so nobody can see it. Okay? Yeah. So for the security reason, we should not access data at the client side. We should only access data from the server side. Yeah. Client side has the capability to access data. Yeah. There are some technologies allow you to access data from the JavaScript functions. Yeah. So there are several ways. Yeah, you can access databases from JavaScript functions, but you're not encouraged to do that. You should not do that. Okay? Even JavaScript has that capability, but it's not real world practice. It's not a good practice way to do it from the client side. Yeah. So that's an important point. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So then, now you understand a lot of things we have to do at the server side. Yeah. Then embed. How do you embed PHP code inside HTML content? Using PHP tags. Yeah. The tags is very simple. Yeah. This is a pair of tags. So starting part, end part, yeah, the question mark. So you use this PHP word. Yeah. Although you can skip this PHP word. Yeah. So if you skip PHP word, also legal. Yeah. But most people like to put this PHP word because you want to stand out, right? You want to tell people this is the embedded PHP code. See better, right? Yeah. If you skip, too little, the information, not that strong, right? The code part, embedded code part, not that strong. Not easy to see it, right? So you want to see it better, yeah. So that's why most people include this, PHP. Yeah. So now you see that, this is the embedded PHP code, dynamic. Then inside between the two tags inside, then you write all the PHP code. Yeah. So this way, yeah, simple way. Yeah. But the next question, how to execute PHP code? Yeah, let me describe internally how to execute. Yeah. So after you embed PHP code, you need to save the file as PHP file, not an HTML file, right? Yeah, next slide, I will talk about that. You need to save the file as .php with PHP extension. With PHP extension, then it is treated as a PHP file. Otherwise, if you do not save with PHP extension, it won't be treated as a PHP file. Okay? Yeah. So next slide, I will talk about that. Yeah, extension is important here. All right. How to execute PHP code? Yeah. Then we need to call PHP engine to execute PHP code. PHP engine included in the exam software bundle. Yeah, it contains. Yeah. So PHP engine inside. We just call it, okay? We do not need to call explicitly. Apache will call it, okay? Yeah, we programmers, we do not need to, we do not need to do anything special. Yeah. So Apache web server will do it. Yeah. Here, let me describe the workflow. Yeah. Yeah. From beginning to end, how a PHP file is executed inside Apache server. Yeah. All right. First, when you start, our users need to call this PHP file. Okay. Yeah. When you need to do some business, let's assume some special business, call PHP file through URL. Now, how do you call it? Now, in a web browser, you need to, access PHP file through some URL. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. through the URL pointing to this PHP file. Yeah. Then this request, URL request, sent to Apache server. Here, let's assume we run our web application in Apache server, because there are many other web servers can also run. Yeah. So here we only talk about the Apache server. Yeah. All right. So now we send the request to Apache server. Yeah. After Apache server receives this request, because we use the .php extension, right? Yeah, remember? .php extension. So Apache server knows it is a PHP file. It is a PHP file, okay? .extension. Detected immediately. Then Apache send this file to PHP engine. Because Apache itself cannot process PHP code. Apache cannot do it. So Apache relies on PHP engine to do it, to do the processing, okay? PHP file processing, execution. Yeah. All right? So then send it to PHP engine. Yeah. Then the PHP engine executes the PHP file, but the execution way is interpretation way. You know the meaning, right? Interpretation, not compile. Okay? So we never compile PHP files. So we do not use the compile like Java, some language, just like Python. Python also interpreted, right? So PHP, in this point, similar to Python, interpretation. Okay? Executed by interpretation. Yeah. Executes the PHP file. Okay? Yeah. All right. Then the execution result, interpretation result, yeah. So you execute all the PHP code embedded in the HTML content. The result will be another HTML file. Yeah. Because the result of the PHP coding part result is the HTML content. Okay? When you do PHP data processing, the generated result should be in the HTML content. Yeah. The reason very simple, because at the end, you need to use web browser to display the content of the page, right? At the end. Yeah. In order to make your users view the result, you need to use web browser to render the whole page, right? Yeah. So for that reason, the generated content must be in HTML format. Okay? In HTML format. So the web browser knows how to render the page. Okay? All right? Yeah. So the output is HTML content. Then that output is sent back to Apache. Yeah. Sent back to Apache server. Yeah. So PHP engine send the processing result back to Apache web server. Then Apache web server will send that HTML content back to the client side web browser, specifically web browser running at the client side to render the page. Yeah, so that's the workflow. Okay? That's the basic workflow. So when you write PHP programs, you understand. Behind the scene, it works like this. Yeah. To help you understand the, whole life cycle of your PHP programs. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's the first page. Second page, a little more information about the PHP files in server side. Yeah. How does Apache process? Yeah. Actually, I already explained that part. So this slide we can go a little faster. Yeah. I already talked about that, right? So in the the diagram I already explained. So here, just a little more information. PHP must use .php extension. Yeah, we mentioned that. After Apache detects a PHP file, passes to PHP engine for processing. Yeah, we talk about that. Okay, then PHP engine bypasses because in that document, HTML document, some part HTML, some content in HTML, this part Apache bypass it, skip it. Okay, do nothing on HTML lines, skip. Okay, then only processes PHP code. The processing, you do data processing, data manipulation, okay? A lot of things you can do, including database queries. For this class, because our main focus, we want to do database queries. That part you can do. Database queries in that PHP code part. So then returns result as HTML content to Apache. Okay? So your PHP code part, sometimes you may need to generate some output, right? Yeah, because you want to show some dynamic data. That part, you use the PHP code to generate the dynamic content. Okay, all right. The dynamic content is written in HTML format. Generate HTML format content, data, whatever. All right, so then the whole thing together, because the whole thing included original HTML, then after that, the generated, this is the, generated HTML content. Okay, PHP generated, so, that, mixed in, different ways. But the whole thing is HTML content. All right. So then Apache returns HTML response to the client. So then the browser and the client side renders HTML document. So this slide explains the workflow in the previous slide. Previous slide, you only see a diagram. So the explanation is in this slide. All right. Although the first part is the programming related to our project, but today I want to skip this part because today we already talk about a lot of programming, right? In order to, do things in a balanced way, I want to talk about database content. So leave this programming part to our next class. All right, so I want to move to D.2, overview of SQL queries. Changing my pen color. All right, In this topic, D.2, so we'll see the content of the database the first time for this class. The first time. We want to see a concrete database, right? All right. Examples of SQL statements. So I will post the database script, the script for our first database. Very simple, a small, simple database. Create a MySQL database. All right. Download the database script. It's a text file. So the example I will use is animaldb.sql. Okay. This database only contains one table, one simple table. So we want to look at the, what it looks like in this concrete database. So we don't want to talk about things abstract, right? We want to really see the content of a database. Yeah. It contains a sequence of SQL statements. Yeah. The syntax, now we need to write SQL statements. Yeah. Just like programming language, statement by statement, a sequence of statements to, to write all the content in this database. All right. Then to install, yeah, because you need to, after you download, yeah, so this is a text file, okay? You can use a text editor to view the content. Yeah. Yeah. After you download it, we need to run the database script. Yeah. In our DBMS, we use MySQL DBMS. In our MySQL DBMS, we need to run this file, executable, because all the SQL statements, MySQL can execute statement by statement. Yeah, so we need to run in the MySQL database server. We need to start a MySQL database server, okay? Then we run the script. I will show you. So next time, demo. Yeah, today, because we only have 20 minutes left. So next time I show you the demo. Okay, so you can see, how to start a Apache server first, then database server second, then get a database script ready, this one, then we run it. Yeah. So we install the database there. Yeah. All right, so here I cut the table definition. One table, only one table inside that database. This table we call the survey results. Table name, this is the table name, survey results. Okay, yeah. Then the definition, create table. So that's this. Here you can see we use the uppercase for the SQL commands. Yeah, see the uppercase, lowercase. Yeah, so the text editor I use here, Notepad plus. Yeah, yeah, all right, yeah. So here, because that text editor, all these SQL keywords in the blue color. Yeah, the text editor show in blue color. Okay, all right. The SQL keywords. Yeah. So then here you see the capital letters we use here. All these capital letters, that's by convention. Okay. So capital by convention. Yeah. Convention in the community. Okay. Yeah. The SQL community, the programmers using SQL. Yeah. That's the convention in the community. Yeah. That means if you use lowercase, it works. Yeah. So all these keywords, SQL keywords, if you use lowercase, it's legal. Yeah, it's legal. Actually, sometimes some people use lowercase. Yeah, some people use lowercase. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but the convention, uppercase. Okay. Yeah. All right. So then we define. Yeah. So here, the syntax details. Yeah. So here, a lot of syntax details. So I do not explain at this point. I delay a little bit. Yeah. Because later we will talk about the syntax details. Yeah. Yeah. Here, the first view, so we do not go very deep. Yeah. So we just see a little bit. Yeah. All right. Then basic SQL operations. Yeah. So so this is the table definition, but after table definition in our AnimalDB.SQL, we need to have the data part. Okay? Yeah, because this table does not contain the data, right? Yeah, no data. So this table, we need to plus the data. Yeah. Plus data part. Yeah. Data, we use the insertion statement, insert. Yeah. So we need to insert data into this database. After an empty table, so this statement creates an empty table, no data inside. Then we need to run an insertion statement to add data into this table. Then we have data. Yeah. Two parts. Okay? Table definition part and the data insertion part. So we get a whole database. Yeah. And in this database, survey results contain a list of pets. Animal, different pets, cat, dog, Also, it has a snake, whatever, several. Yeah. Then survey. Yeah. So ask the user what is your pet. Okay. Do survey. Yeah. So you click, you select, click, then submit. Then that counting number increment by 1. Yeah. So the simple example, like that. So we use this simple database. Yeah. So you see votes, survey option, that's the pet names. Yeah. Then votes, the number of votes. Yeah. All right. The basic SQL operation here, retrieval, yeah, I mentioned, insertion, update, deletion. Yeah. Yeah. So we can apply on this table, the data inside this table. Yeah. All right. Retrieve, yeah, because when you show your user, you need to retrieve the data from the table, all the votes, the current votes. Okay, so you need a data retrieval statement. Then the user select one of the options, then submit. Then you update, right? Yeah, because you change the votes, so you need the update statement. So that's all you need in the simple example. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So select. Yeah. Very simple. Select. So here we use capital letters, SQL keyword. SQL keyword. Yeah. So by convention, we use capital letters. Yeah. Star. This star refers to all the fields. Yeah, here there are 3 fields. First one, ID field. Second, survey option, votes. So all 3 fields. Then we do not need to type all 3 field name. We just use 1 star. 1 star represent all 3 fields, separated by comma. Okay, field 1, comma. Field 2, comma. Field 3, comma. That's the syntax. Yeah, but in this case, 1 star symbol. Yeah. From keyword, then table name. This is the table name. Okay. Survey results. That's the table name. Yeah. Then we retrieve all the rows of the data from the table. Yeah. Then we can display. Yeah. Yeah. We use PHP code to display our data. So insertion, yeah. In this example, we don't need to do insertion. Insertion means you need to add a new pet name. Yeah, that's insertion. But here, we just use the existing pets. Yeah, we do not add a new pet. Yeah, so no insertion. Yeah, yeah. But the insertion statement is like this. Yeah. Later we will talk about. Later we will have one topic to study the insertion statement. Here, you just see the format, okay, like this format. Yeah. Later, we will, look at the details. Yeah. Update the format like that. Yeah. So here, the syntax is like this. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So very easy to use. Yeah. Insertion, update. Yeah. Very easy to use. Yeah. 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 Deletion. Yeah. But deletion, remember last time, you should be very careful because you may delete some important data, right? So you need to consider that situation. Yeah. Important data is deleted by accident. That's big loss. Yeah. So last time I mentioned the logical deletion. Logical deletion, you can avoid that. Yeah. So today I do not talk much about that. Yeah. All right. Then there is another important question I want to explain in this example. All right. Look at the symbol here. Yeah, for Zoom site. Yeah, because we have 3 students at the Zoom site. So if I use the stick, so they cannot see, right? So I need to let them see. So I circled it. Now, now we need to look at these symbols. Look at these symbols. What's that? Look at closely. What are those symbols? What are those symbols? Yeah. Can you see? Yeah. Can you see the special shape of those symbols? Special shape. Not single quote. You can see. If you look at it closely, yes, the backtick. Yeah. Backtick. On your keyboard. On your keyboard. See? Yeah. Backtick. Not single quote. Not single quote. Okay. Not single quote. Yeah, this one, backtick. Okay? The symbol. The meaning is different. Single quote we use for string data. String data we use single quote. Okay? Non-numeric data. Non-numeric data we use single quotes later. You will see. Yeah. But what's the meaning? The backtick symbol here we use. Is there any special reason? Yeah, there is a special reason. I want to explain that special reason. All right. You have option. Remove all the backticks. Yeah. So for this example, if you remove all these backticks, still works. It works. Okay. Yeah. Legal. So you run, everything, no problem. But there is a potential problem. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not work. The potential problem. So these backtick symbols are used to prevent some possible potential problem. Yeah. Here, let me explain what kind of potential problem. Yeah. The potential problem, think about it. Basically here we use backticks around table names or field names, right? Yeah. So what do we use here? Table name, and here field name. When you use table names or field names, do you have freedom to choose those names? You have freedom to choose those names, right? Yeah. Based on the business requirements, right? Yeah. How people choose table names and field names? Based on the business requirements. That's the business decision, okay? So not our programmer decision. Programming decision. That belongs to business decision. When people make business decision, so those names are related to the business. Okay? Yeah. We as programmers, we should not change those names, right? Yeah. Yeah. Because those business people, they want these names. Okay? They want these names. Okay? We programmers, if you change, they will be very mad. Yeah. Because you change their business representation, right? And so they don't like it. So we as programmers, we should stick to their original names. We should not change. Then, based on this background, can you see some potential problem? Based on this kind of relationship, okay? Can you see some potential problem? Yeah. Because the business people, they do not know anything about programming. Okay? So then when they use those names, they just pick the best names for business. Nothing to do with syntax, SQL syntax, nothing to do. Think about, if by accident they pick some name, table name or field name, that name happens to be a SQL keyword. SQL has a lot of keywords, right? So there is a possibility the table name or field name just happen to be a keyword, SQL keyword. Then, if you use that name in the statement, the DBMS will reject it because the syntax is wrong. Right? The syntax is completely wrong. So the DBMS will reject. So this is illegal. The syntax is wrong. So how to solve that problem? How to tell DBMS, do not treat these names as SQL keywords, because they are not SQL keywords, right? Yeah. So they are table names, field names. They are not SQL keywords. So DBMS should interpret all these names as non-SQL keywords. We use backticks to tell DBMS, do not interpret the strings inside a pair of backticks in SQL keywords. That's the purpose. That's the purpose. Okay? Yeah. So you know the importance. Okay? Yeah. So here I can give you an example. So from my real world experience. Yeah. So many years ago we did a project with ESI company. You know ESI, right? In our campus company. Okay? ESI. So yeah, Express Scripts. Okay? Yeah. So 10-something years ago. Okay? Approximately 10-something years ago. Yeah. So we did several projects. Then we need to use their database. So they give us, their real database. Yeah. So not a toy, real database. And in their database there is a field. The field name is called use. The field name is called use. Use. Yeah. Based on business, yeah, they need to use this name, field name, use, to represent some drug-related field information. Drug, yeah, related. Use. And they don't want you to change this name. But this use happens to be MySQL keyword. It's a keyword, use. Use database. Yeah. When you type use database, okay? So now you use this particular database. You make it a current database. Yeah. Because in MySQL there are many databases, right? Yeah. So you can jump from this database to that database. How do you jump from one database to another database? You type this statement, use database name. So you jump. Now you make this database as the current database. Then after that, you execute any SQL commands. That's all those SQL commands are with respect to the current database. Okay? You do not need to say which database, yeah, because you make that database as you use the use database name. You make that database as the current database, default database. Then you can run all the SQL commands against this database. Okay, that's the command name, use. Yeah. But for that Express Script project, you have to use this as the field name. Yeah. So use a pair of backtick around it. Then it is not interpreted as keyword anymore. So the MySQL does not treat it as a use keyword. Okay, just a literal use word as the field. That's the difference. Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, we don't have much time. Let me see what's next. Yeah, next, D.3, data format. Then I explain the data format. Okay, yeah. So this, yeah. All right. So let's start this topic next time. Okay, next time. Yeah. So next time we will complete this one. Yeah, definitely we will complete this one. If we have more time, we can start module 2. Yeah. After this. Yeah, because